Sorry?
Earlier?
Can you tell me that again?
Weren't you on earlier when I just popped on for a minute?
Yeah, yes, this afternoon, yes.
We were talking about the fee situation, right? And the fee escalation and all that.
Yeah, correct.
Sounds like you're in a busy place.
Just give me some minutes.
Yeah, you're good. Anybody's free to speak up. So the purpose here is just to discuss things and help people learn and understand. So any questions anybody has, just ask away. And, you know, whether it's a basic question like what's a trust line, or a more complicated question like what the heck happened the last couple of days with the fee escalation and all of that. I'm getting pretty excited about the Sologenic thing. I need to read even more about it. I've already read their white paper. Very interesting project. Something that's actually been being discussed for years. So it's cool to see somebody finally legit working on it. Like bringing public securities onto the XRP ledger. Only thing I'm puzzled about is where are they getting this 40,000 XR or 40,000 public securities number from? If anybody knows, speak up. I've read it, but I haven't read where the people who wrote it got that from. So I don't know where the base truth is, basically. But that's a lot of securities. Holy cow. I kind of get the sense that NASDAQ is some way or another either business partners or backing them or whatnot. I don't know how they would do that without an exchange partner. But supposedly they are getting a broker-dealer license. So that's a big deal. That's not easy. You know, that speaks to legitimacy for sure. Yeah, I guess I just need to read more. I joined their Discord the other day, but I haven't spent much time on there poking around. If anybody wants to speak up, just speak up. You're more than welcome. It's an open chat.
Hey, how many solo tokens are we allowed to be airdropped?
I believe there is 400 million total, but I think they're airdropping only 200. And I saw some talk on the XRP chat forum earlier. Maybe I should go check that. But they were talking about, people were trying to understand, like, what is a black hold address? Because people were wondering, well, what if they issue more? But the issuing address is already black hold, so they can't. But I think it's 400 total and 200 airdrop.
When you say black hold, what do you mean by that?
So on the XRP ledger, there's this idea of black holing an address, which, so you know how each wallet, any wallet can be an issuer. I mean, I've issued my own currencies before, long time ago, to myself. I mean, not to anybody other than myself, but, you know, had a bunch of wallets and I issued currency to myself and moved it around just to kind of play with the technology. But so any wallet can issue, but then each wallet is basically has a key pair, right? So you got your public key and your private key or your secret key. Well, you can, on the XRP ledger, you can actually rekey the secret key. So it gets rid of the original secret and it turns into what's called a master key. And then you can change the master key to be one of these wallets where nobody knows the secret key. And so basically the way you would do it, or the way Sologenic or anybody would do it, is the NFTs the same, I would presume. You go ahead and you issue the asset, right? Then there's whatever number that's issued already. Then you black hole the wallet so that that wallet can no longer ever issue more tokens. And so that gives you a fixed supply, effectively. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's kind of a complicated thing. I remember the first time I heard about it, I was like, hold on a second. What are you talking about? But yeah, I'm probably still not explaining it exactly technically right. I did a post on the forum earlier, and I was reading some old posts from like, I think 2017, 2015, and about how to do black holing and stuff. And basically you destroy the key. So the wallet no longer has a private key, so it can never sign a transaction again. So like if you sent XRP or something to that wallet, unless it has rippling enabled, it's gone. You know, it's like losing your private key, basically, because there is no private key. It's dead. Or black hole, I guess. For anyone new in here, go ahead, speak up. I'll invite anybody to speak if you got any questions or what have you. But the black holing is cool because it opens up a whole bunch of like options for how to set up new services and things that are trustless, right? Because once a wallet is black holed, however it's set up is permanent, because you can never make another transaction, so you can never change anything on that wallet. So I would imagine someone like a Sologenic has an issuing wallet. They issue the tokens, they black hole them. I don't know. I haven't looked. Actually, I probably should, but I haven't pulled that issuing wallet up on like a, account explorer to see if they have any sort of quality in, quality out where they're collecting fees or anything. There was a guy back in the day who disappeared called Rippler M, and I believe he was like Chinese or something, but he this is before multi-sig came along, and he came up with a way to basically do multi-sig pre-multi-sig. And then several months later, the Ripple team actually came out and made multi-sig like an amendment on the ledger. So then we had that tool in the tool chest also. But yeah, black holing's pretty cool. If you got to make sure you set things up right, because once you go black hole, you can't change anything after that. That's that.
So for the Sologenic, you can set up a trust line through the Sum wallet. I think you have to deposit like 2 XRP, is it?
It's not really a deposit, it's a reserve. So if you ever canceled the trust line, you would get that 2 XRP back. But yeah, basically the Sum wallet's probably the best interface out there for the XRP ledger. I mean, it's not what I use. I use some really old school crap that is from Rippler M, the guy I was just talking about. But the Sum wallet is way better than I just do what I do because it's what I've done for a while. So whatever. But yeah, the Sum wallet, 2 XRP. So you've got your normal account reserve, which I think got lowered from 20 to 10 XRP. That'll activate the wallet. And then for each trust line, it's like an object in the database, right? On Ledger. So you got to pay for the space that object takes up. And so you put a reserve for 2 XRP. That allows you to set the trust line. Let's say you get the airdrop and you sell all of it because you hate Sologenic because, I don't know, whatever. And if you bring your trust line balance back down to 0, you can close the trust line and that 2 XRP reserve is no longer locked up. But the XRP reserve never leaves your wallet. It's always yours. It's always there. It's just not available to like use for payments. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
And that's not just a Sologenic thing. That's just how the ledger works. So if you start setting trust lines to 5, 6, 7 different projects, you know, each trust line you set, you're going to have to set aside a reserve. But you're not really spending the 2 XRP. It's still in your account. It's just locked up. It's not available for use for some other purpose.
And let me ask you another question. You know anything about the Songbird? I know there was a snapshot for the Flare tokens, but I see that there's a claim period. Actually, I don't know what the claim period is for the Songbird. You know anything about that?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a bunch of Songbird. I'm not exactly an expert, and I've talked to the Flare Finance guys. So there's another airdrop coming up roundabout now, or maybe it happened yesterday or the day before. But yeah, so Songbird, do you know the idea of a canary network?
I've heard about it.
So what's your background? Have you done like software development at all?
No, not at all. Background is project management.
Okay, so project management's kind of the same anyway. So you've got this. So you got your test net, right? Where it's not real money. Okay, it's the same code, but it's not real money. So if you screw something up, you just go get more fake money or fake whatever, worthless tokens, and then you run your code again and see if it works. Then you've got your production network, which is like your main net, like XRPL and or Bitcoin or Ethereum mainnet. And this idea of a canary network, I guess Polkadot is the first one to use this idea. I think it's a good idea. But basically, it's like a proving ground. So it's not a test net with fake money. It's actually real money. But it's not the production network that's, the main net. So it's a proving ground where, let's say you wanted to bring an app or a dApp live to the Flare network, you would start off on the test net, test your code, get comfortable that you think everything's working right. Then you would go live on the Songbird network, which is the canary network, like canary in the coal mine, I think is the analogy. And you spend some time proving your app out on the canary network, and then finally sort of graduate into the production network, which would be the Flare network. So the Songbird network does not have all the functionality live yet. So it's a slow rollout. They've got the FTSO functionality live, but I don't believe there's F assets. And what's the other main functionality? There's the FTSOs, the F assets, and there's something else. And there's 3 core functionalities that they need to prove out and vet before they're going to take the Flare network into production mode. Does that make any sense? Does that make sense or no?
A little bit, yeah.
It's a lot, man. And then then on top of Songbird network, you have projects like Flare Finance. and Trustline. And, these guys are trying to prove that their applications work and are not like hackable, that there's no bugs, iron out any UI, UX interface type, make that stuff smooth. And then eventually kind of, it's a proving ground, right? So prove that their apps are good enough for the main Flare net. But I think if Flare Finance is not live yet, I mean, if it's live, it's only been live for like Flare Finance on top of Songbird. It's only been live for a day or two. I guess I could turn my computer on and double check. I tweeted at those guys earlier, and I'm in their Discord, and I've had some private conversations with them. But that's a really cool project. But that one you really have to spend some time focusing on. Probably even more so than Sologenic. Because they've got Flare Finance guys, they have several different financial service products, distributed apps that they're offering on top of the Songbird network, and then ultimately on top of Flare network. Again, if anyone wants to speak up, ask a question, just raise your hand. It's an open chat.
Hello. So I was just wondering if you could kind of explain like what's been going on with the XRP ledger, like over the last few days, like not being able to handle the amount of people. I'm just like kind of confused on everything.
Yeah, I can give a brief explanation. Basically, so back in the day, they added what's called a fee escalation feature to the ledger or bit of code. So if the ledger's under heavy load, then the fee you have to pay goes up in order to get your transaction accepted. And then if your transaction's not accepted, it goes into a queue. And basically, there's two kind of feedback loops that got triggered. And I think they're going to actually do some code change to help improve the kill switch on the feedback loops so that they don't exacerbate the problem. But basically, if the fee escalation is triggered, which it was, then transactions that are only offering to pay the minimum fee, they don't get processed. So they go into the queue to wait for the transaction for the network load to be reduced so they can pay, or like so the basic fee is enough. But then when the fee goes up, more transactions end up in the transaction queue, which makes the fee go up more, which makes more transactions go into the transaction queue, which makes the fee go up. Like, you kind of get that point. And then the other thing that I didn't realize is some of the ledgers will look at the average transaction fee from the previous closed ledger and take that as a clue as to what the fee should be. So when people start paying higher fees, and granted, even these higher fees are hundredths of a penny, I mean, it's still nothing in terms of real value. But, even if you're paying 10 times the basic fee or the minimum fee, then the other nodes will look at that and say, oh, well, I need a higher fee. And so then they start putting transactions into the queue. And then I think the last part of the problem was the queue wasn't dumping off the transactions. Like, it should have just been saying, hey, you're not going to get your transaction submitted in this ledger, resubmit it and with a higher fee. And then to make that even worse, a bunch of the apps that are written on top of XRP Ledger, they weren't giving users the option to pay a higher fee. So it was like hard coded in a lot of these apps that, the fee is just the basic fee. which basically shut those apps down because when the nodes, the validators weren't accepting the basic fee because the fee was higher, if the only fee that app would submit was the basic fee, then nothing from that app was going to get accepted. And then finally, I think everybody updated the nodes to like 1.8.1, and there was some other effort to help clear the queue. And then I think everything leveled back out. But even during the whole situation, if you paid a higher fee, the ledger worked perfectly fine and the transaction went straight through. So the ledger really worked the way it was supposed to. It's just the first time that I know of ever that the fee escalation feature has been invoked. So it did cause some unexpected issues, for sure. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, man.
There's if you know Whitesy Win or Wheatsy Win, I'm not sure I'm saying his name right.
I don't think so. No.
You should look him up. He runs XRP Labs, and there's a really smart guy there named Richard. And he wrote, if you're technical, he wrote the best synopsis I've seen of what happened and like a proposed solution. And then I've seen some of the other guys that are actually in Ripple also looking at it, and then some other people also. So there's probably going to be a bit of a code change to help make sure that, you know, if the queue had not gotten stacked up and was dropping off transactions and getting rid of them, then I think I have a feeling that if I'm understanding things right, that the problem wouldn't have gotten so bad. But that wasn't happening. And the queue is set to, I believe, 2,000 transactions. So once it hit 2,000 transactions, the fee escalation just went up and up. And, you know, you were having to pay, I was seeing people paying like 100 drops for a transaction, which is still, what, a tenth of a penny? But you know, when you're used to paying 10,000th of a penny, a tenth of a penny kind of seems expensive. Not really, but you get the point, relatively. Again, for anybody that just joined or is new, raise your hand. You're more than welcome to join. Or speak up, ask questions, whatever. The whole point of these things is to help people understand and talk about stuff. So no question too basic, no question too complicated kind of thing. Yeah, Ghost, go ahead. You're good.
Thanks, Karma. I just wanted to find out. I know you may have covered it. I just got in. What is happening with the XRP ledger at this point in time? I saw that there was some sort of support from the community, and a new server might be have been ordered. But is the problem sort of resolving itself, or is it still the same sort of issues that we had when it started?
Yeah, we were just talking about that. It sort of was a problem, not a problem.
Okay.
There's a thing called the fee escalation that got triggered, and then the fee escalation caused the queue of transactions to grow, which causes the fee to escalate more, which causes more transactions to end up in the queue.
Sure.
And then it kind of did a feedback loop. And for the folks that have been on here, I don't want to repeat myself again, but that also kind of fed out through the network because other validating ledgers or validating nodes will look at the average transaction fee of the last closed ledger. So when people started raising the fee they were paying for transactions to get validated, then other server nodes or validator nodes started raising their transaction fee. So basically, the transaction fee went up temporarily.
Temporarily. So that's now eased, and so is the problem sort of resolving itself, or is it still compounding at this point?
I believe the queue got cleared from what I was talking to people. Now, long term, personally, I expect that the minimum transaction fee is not going to stick around. And I expect that the transaction fee will go up as the ledger gets more and more use. But that's a good thing, in my view, because the more it costs in terms of XRP to do a transaction, the more XRP is worth. Because when you buy an XRP, what you're really buying is the ability to do a bunch of transactions on XRP Ledger.
Sure.
So if say the value of a transaction is, maybe you make $1 profit, you're willing to pay, 10 cents. Well, just because right now it costs you a tenth of a penny doesn't mean you're not willing to pay 10 cents. Yeah. So does that make sense? So then, the value of XRP goes up because you need more of it to pay for transactions. Transaction fees going up, you need more XRP to pay for it. So then you buy more XRP. That is kind of that kind of a thing.
So are you seeing some sort of a hard cap on this, or can the fee structure raise to a point of, say, 1 XRP per transaction because of this sort of change in thinking of how this is going to work for future proofing?
I don't believe there's a cap on the transaction fee. So in the way the code was written originally back in the day, and I'm not a full-blown expert on this, but I was just around when this was all being discussed. The fee escalation grows exponentially. So the more somebody, say, attacks or spams the network, the more it's going to cost them to continue that effort. So the sooner they shut down their spamming, basically, is the idea. And then I don't know why it couldn't grow to more than 1 XRP per transaction. I don't think that's the ideal goal or end state. But I also think that after this is the first time that fee escalation's been triggered. So I think the code's going to get revisited and maybe adjusted in some ways. I don't think they're going to get rid of fee escalation. That doesn't make sense. I think there's some what was the word? I don't even know what the word means. Deadlock, which I think just means, probably wrong, so take this with a grain of salt, but I think that they're going to look at the deadlocks, and that I think that means like dropping stuff out of the queue. Hey, your transaction didn't get approved. Double check it, maybe pay a bigger fee, resubmit it. And again, all of this is still in 3-4 second ledger closes.
Oh, absolutely. That's great.
So
do you know how we compare to the other blockchains as far as the fee structure? I know Ethereum's pretty high, but if you compare the XRP fee to, say, a Solana, has anybody done that? Where are we competitive, even though this fee structure may raise at some point, at least for the next few years, or is it just depending on how many trust lines and how many projects get on the XRP ledger that use it, and increase this fee structure exponentially down the line?
I mean, if anybody else knows, I don't know Solana that well. I know a little bit about it, but I don't know their fee structure enough to have a valuable comment on that.
Oh, good. Thanks.
I mean, aren't they proof of stake, though?
I believe so.
So the problem have you looked at Flare at all?
No, to be honest with you, ever since one of the exchanges haven't been giving me the Flare, I haven't really been delving into too much of it. I've sort of jumped out of the Flare and went straight to the Sologenic sort of ecosystem at this point in time. So I understand the basics of Flare and how it's going to work, but it's very, very layer, like first layer sort of.
Yeah, Flare. So I come at all of this crypto stuff from a financial markets perspective. So the thing that impressed me the most with Flare was the economic argument. And I think that anything proof of stake, proof of work, is not likely to pan out in the long term. The argument that the Flare guys made, and I feel embarrassed. I feel like I should have thought of this myself, but I didn't. Is they pointed out that if the value of the token is what underlies the security of the network, then basically, let's say you're going to run the whole world on Ethereum, for example, then the value of Ethereum has to be worth more than all the rest of the value in the whole world. Otherwise, it makes economic sense to buy enough Ethereum to take over the Ethereum network. And it doesn't matter if it's proof of stake, proof of work, it's a different attack vector, yes. But the whole idea of the security of the network being secured by the value of the token doesn't basically scale up. And so with the Flare network, the security of the network is not based on the value of the token. It's a little bit more like the XRP ledger, and the F assets. The Spark token is more used as collateral than necessarily a security mechanism. So I had to think about that when I first read it, but once it sank in, I was like, oh shit, that's a good point from an economics point of view. And so, yeah, I'm very excited about Flare. And Flare's connecting, it's like a network of all these other networks. So you can get XRP, Litecoin, Dogecoin, I'm sure eventually Bitcoin. I think I'm leaving another one off. There's already 4 or 5 different coins that can become F assets on the Flare network.
Max Dilemma's in there too, I think.
Yeah, I think that's another one. And that's, to me, when you start bringing all these tokens from different networks onto a network where you can do smart contracts, then it's like opening Pandora's box. Like, what can you do? What can't you? I mean, there's not much you can't do. And look at the Flare Finance guys. They're providing swaps, loans, insurance. They haven't launched that yet. I forget what projects they've launched, but it's swaps, loans, and Flare mining. So you can actually mine like Bitcoin and Ethereum on the Flare network through Flare Mine, which is cool. I mean, that should.
How is that going to work? You can mine it through the Flare network, like Bitcoin. I don't understand.
Well, not Bitcoin specifically. What happens?
Is it like a wrap Bitcoin? Is that what it is?
Well, no, I don't think so. I have a feeling that's going to come in the future. But you can mine, and I believe they pay you out in. They have like 3 different tokens. There's Y-Flare, D-Flare, and this is Flare Finance, which is a different team and different project built on top of Flare Network. So this is not the Flare Network guys. This is like a DApp company on top of Flare, built on top of Flare Network. You'd have to go look up Flare Farm, and I don't know all the details offhand. All I know is there was incentives to basically take people who were running mining rigs and have them get, maybe it was wrapped Bitcoin plus a kicker, plus like YFlare. There's a governance token. I don't know it off the top of my head that well. Look up, have you ever on YouTube looked up like XRP Patty or the DeFi Standard?
I have not, but I'll definitely. Is it XRP PATY or PATI?
No, it's XRP Patty. I don't know if he uses one P or two P's, honestly.
Okay.
And then there's the DeFi Standard. Look up the DeFi Standard. Those guys have really good videos to explain all of this stuff. I was just watching one the other day with F Assets. So, like, let's say you have XRP or Doge or Litecoin or XLM or something. You're going to be able to earn yield by posting those tokens on other networks as collateral for F assets. So like you would post XRP for XRP. You'd post Litecoin for LTC. You would post Doge for Doge. And then you actually can earn like in passive income for having posted that collateral. It's pretty cool. I mean, it's complicated.
Oh, but Nikki B. Fresh, yeah. I think I
Mickey
remember
B.
this.
Yeah. Mickey B. Fresh and Patty XRP they work together.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Patty just did a video the other day, like I think 2 days ago, on the F assets that was really good. I think I watched it twice, honestly. And I've read all this stuff, and I'm not going to lie, man. I feel like I understand it while I'm reading it, and then I can't explain it.
No, there's definitely a lot of information right now. One of the reasons why I was so excited about the Spark was the Ethereum bridge. I don't know, it was through the EVM or just the Ethereum sort of network where they can easily bridge some of these projects. So, from a perspective of people that want to get off Ethereum or developers that want to get off Ethereum, it would be just kind of like a plug and play into the Flare network. And I think that was the initial strategy when it came out. At least that's what it was sold as a massive, sort of movement was going to be coming out of the Ethereum developers to the Flare network because of the ease of use of this bridge. But like I said, I really haven't been delving into it over the last year or so since the case. I've sort of delved into other projects. I've still got a pretty big investment with an XRP. So when I saw that the XRPL was going a little haywire last week, I was kind of like, wait a minute, what's happening here? Have you sort of delved into how this Ethereum bridge or ERC20 bridge with the Flare network is going to work? Is it sort of similar to I know like Moon Rabbits is trying to do that as well with the Ethereum bridge, and a bunch of other projects has got an ERC20 bridge. Do you know much about that?
I'm not going to claim to be an expert, but from what I understand, there's basically two methods. One, Flare network is built on EVM. So if you're actually a developer running a project, I believe basically all you have to do is change the contract's address in the code and bring the code in the whole project right over to Flare. So
that's what I thought so too. I mean, that's why I'm kind of like trying to get a little bit more information on it, because it's like, the Ethereum virtual network they're connecting to, or virtual machine, sorry. That would be really interesting because there's a lot of interesting projects that would do so well within a sort of Flare, even just from a fee perspective, right? A lot of these projects are so interesting and they thrive at the Flare sort of protocol. All right.
Yeah, I mean, there's that method, and even like what's ironic is about a week or so before Flare announced, one of the only people where I live in Florida that knows anything about crypto at all. We were sitting having a beer, and he was complaining. He was like, "Dude, I've got stuff with these projects that it would make money for me to stake, but the amount of money I'm going to make to stake is less than what the transaction fee is going to cost me in ETH, and so I'm not doing it, even though it makes sense for me to do it." And then, like, literally 2 weeks later, Flare announced, and I was like, "Oh man, you got to check this out, because this is going to solve that problem you were complaining about." The other thing is, I don't see any reason there can't be F ETH. If there can be F XRP, F Doge, F Litecoin, I'm sure somebody's going to do FBTC, FXLM. I don't know why there wouldn't be F ETH. And so that can help bring some of the value of Ethereum over to the Flare network, which is different than bringing projects over to the Flare network, right? Like bringing a whole project like a Flare Finance over to the Flare network, which Flare Finance is multiple services but being developed by one team. But that's different than bringing the value of the token over. Does that make sense?
No, absolutely.
I mean, I think Flare is probably going to have a pretty bright future. They're slow getting up and running, though. I mean,
I don't know. Are they purposely being slow? Because it's been kind of some time. I mean, we were talking about this in March as a potential airdrop, right? So what are we on, like 9 months or 8 months now? My assumption is they're just waiting for this XRP case to settle. I mean, that's what I'm assuming. Because of this case, they're purposely just holding out on this airdrop. I don't know. There's some legal ramifications.
There could be some truth to that. I was going to say some people have said that. I'm not 100% sure that I believe that, but I can see some truth there. Songbird, oh man, what is it? Why am I drawing a blank here? Songbird has the FTSO functionality live. It does not have the F asset functionality live yet. You got your oracles, your F assets. Well, obviously your validators, but that's already live. Anyway, I don't think until they get Songbird network pretty much fully functional with all the different types of functionalities that the network needs, and then let that network run for a while, make sure it doesn't crash, make sure it's not hacked, make sure that everything's working as expected. Then after that, I could see them bringing the production Flare network live. So I think it could be a combo of waiting for the SEC case to go away, but also kind of some practical, like, I mean, you can't screw this stuff up, right? It's people's money. So
yeah, absolutely, man.
I mean, I got a lot of it, so I'd be upset if they screwed it up over some stupid code thing.
Did you purchase it, or did you get it from the drop, or a combination of both?
Airdrop, and I've been delegating on Songbird.
How are the delegating rewards? Is it pretty hefty?
I haven't done the math personally, but I read somebody else that said in the first couple epochs it was like 2% a week, which is pretty hefty.
Yeah,
but that's
nice.
down. I mean, it's not going to go up because for a number of reasons. The more people catch on and actually start delegating, like the more people that don't delegate, the more of those people's that don't participate, their rewards get given to the people that do participate. And then there's a pool of tokens that will eventually just go away because they'll have been fully distributed that are in addition to that. So over time, the rewards are going to go down. But yeah, somebody was saying, I read a month ago, 2% a week. So it might be down to like 1.5% a week at this point.
Does it auto compound? So 2% you'll get it in that week, and then 2% of that.
You can compound, but you have to. So once you get your rewards, then you have to claim them, and you get
so it's still manual. So it's not an automatic compounding sort of 2%.
Correct.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, you put your original balance in, and then you claim your rewards. You get paid those in SGB. Then you have to wrap your SGB. So you get WSGB. Then you can delegate the WSGB, and that's done on a weekly basis. I think when Flare comes out in production mode, it's probably going to be on a daily basis instead of weekly, but I don't know. I don't think anybody's really said that. I don't know why I think that, but I think that's what's going to happen. So yeah, you can get some pretty good compounding there. I mean,
Awesome.
I definitely made a couple of thousand Songbird. So
nice. Hey, listen, my phone's about to die, but thanks for the discussion. I'll try to catch you again in a different time when my phone's a little bit more, got a little bit more juice. But have a good weekend, everybody.
Yeah, I'm starting to do these things on like 5 p.m. Eastern pretty much daily.
Oh, so, yeah, awesome. Then I'll catch you tomorrow if you're there.
Okay. Yeah, I should be here.
Thank you.
No worries. Have a good night. Does anyone else want to speak up? I mean, it's a Saturday night. I can cut it and go out and do stuff. But I'm happy to try and help answer any questions, or if anybody has thoughts.
Yeah, I was just wondering, as far as people are throwing out different ideas as far as how to resolve this issue with the truss lines, and I was wondering, like, what ones have you thought of or think that might be the best outside of just the fee being raised? If there's any other particular options that would be, good for the truss lines.
Frankly, the answer is a little over my pay grade. Not that I'm getting paid. I'm just doing this because I like talking about it.
Right.
But I think there's going to need to be a code change that helps the ledgers, the validating nodes, drop transactions out of the queue that are too low of a fee. And then those people are just going to kind of get, hey, I submitted a transaction. Almost like, imagine if you didn't put enough stamps on your envelope and the post office brings it back and says, hey, here's your envelope. you need more stamps to get this through. Like that kind of thing. Because I believe, if I understand, and again, some of this, I'm not a developer. I mean, I know the XRP ledger pretty well, but I believe part of the problem was the queue was getting clogged up because the queue wasn't getting emptied.
Well, did you see that there was all those trust lines set up that would had the $1 trillion of supply?
That shouldn't matter. I mean,
well, so it sounded like somebody was explaining that there was a raft of these all at the same time, all set up, and they think that might have been having, because it was getting spammed, is what they were saying, and that's why the fees went up, because the queue got so clogged, but because they had all these, I guess, this spam of trust lines that were trying to be set.
Basically, what I think happened, and I'm reading between the lines here, but there's a new term to me anyway, that I just heard, 2 days ago, called trust line farming. And so people were setting up bots and submitting a ton of trust line set transactions, which it doesn't matter that it's a trust line. It's just a transaction, right? It's
Gotcha.
action the ledger needs to process. It could be a payment, could be a, order book transaction. It doesn't matter what type of transaction it is. But I think people were setting up bots that were hitting and submitting all of their transactions like super fast to certain specific ledgers, like maybe the public ledger's Ripple runs. And then those ledgers got clogged up. That triggered the fee escalation, which triggered the queue getting longer, which triggered other validating nodes to raise their fee, which made more transactions hit the queue. So it became this big feedback loop thing. So the ledger really worked how it was supposed to. But I think that they're going to have to make some kind of code change to clear the queue of because if you don't resubmit the transaction with a higher fee, it's not going to go through. It's just going to stay in the queue permanently. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I know I had seen We'd Say When. He was also, he had mentioned the trust lines and how that was bogging down the ledger. Yeah,
I think that was from these trust line farming bots.
Okay.
So when he posted, quote, their analysis, which was written by Richard, that's the best analysis I've seen.
Yeah.
So I think it was yesterday he posted that. Find their analysis, check like who the author is, and if it's Richard, read that.
Okay, I'll look for it. So then so I see people, come floating around the idea of, raising the amount of what it would cost to set up a trust line on the XRP ledger. Do you think that that kind of kills the spirit of the XRP ledger? Or do you think that that's something that might be needed to implement?
Oh, I don't know. That's debatable. I think if you can break the feedback loop that caused the fee escalation to kind of go exponential, that's probably a better solution.
I agree.
I think that keeping the cost of transactions and trust lines as cheap as possible is more in line with the ethos of create an internet of value, so that, value can move as cheaply as an internet or as an email. Like, it doesn't cost you anything to set up an email address, right?
Correct.
So,
and that's what they're trying to do.
Right. So I think that's more in line with the ethos of, the project, but possibly, as this ledger grows and we've also got the federated side chains. So I think that's going to help tremendously because that basically makes things limitless. So if you want to set all these trust lines, just create your own ledger and connect it over to the XRP ledger. And have the trust line farming bots, spam trust lines on your ledger, and then when you need to move real money, pop back over to the XRP ledger.
Okay.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, it's kind of just makes it I guess streamlines or makes it lighter in a sense to where there's not so much traffic going on it.
I think the term is horizontally scalable.
Okay.
But yeah, because in my namesake Karma Coverage, like I always intended to build Karma Coverage as its own ledger. Like, one, because I want to control it, and it needs to do some very specific things about helping people share risk. I need 95% of the functionality that XRP Ledger has, a little bit of functionality XRP Ledger doesn't have, but then I want to tap back in to XRP Ledger because Karma Coverage is intended to be a global service. So I can do all the foreign exchange, the FX stuff through the XRP Ledger, and then Karma Coverage doesn't have to do that as a business.
And is that something you're still working on Karma Coverage?
I'm not currently. All the work I've done is still there. I think I was a few years too early. but that's where the name came from. Is, I was intending to start. Dude, this goes back to like 2013. I was intending to start a whole service, basically like an Uber to insurance. Where insurance is the taxi company that's centralized. They take control of all the money, yada yada yada. Like a taxi company owns all the cars and controls everything. Versus an Uber, where Uber doesn't own any cars. They just help route, connect drivers and riders, and with karma coverage, like, it'd be self custody, so you don't necessarily pay an insurance company. You just put some money on deposit in a wallet that you control. And I mean, I'm not trying to do like an advertisement for karma coverage, but it's the same. It's
No, I wanted to know about it. So you're fine.
But then in karma coverage, the other thing is, like, versus an insurance company, which would be like a taxi company that chooses which driver is going to match with which rider. The drivers pick if they want to take that ride or not. So kind of same thing in karma coverage. Like, you control your own money and you pick which people you're going to help or not. And you're only even ever going to get an opportunity to help your direct friends or friends of your friends. But you get to decide, like, no, I know that guy. He's an idiot. I'm not helping him. Or, oh man, that sucks. Yeah, I know. I'll help him. But you're in control of where the money you pay into goes, instead of the insurance company saying, just give us all your money and then we'll figure it out. So I don't know. Do you know what peer-to-peer means?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more P2P instead of centralized. But you need the trust lines that XRP Ledger has, which that's how I got so interested in Ripple and XRP Ledger, was because of the technology.
Is there a place where I can? Do you have anything like an article or anything that you've written about it?
Yes, I got asked. I actually had a couple Fortune 500 companies call me, and Insurance Thought Leadership asked me to write a series. Look on my Medium is probably the best place. I'm not sure if all 4 are up there, but I know a couple of them are, because somebody else reached out to me the other day about that. Some like insurance industry researcher guy.
Yeah, well, I'd love it. I mean, I don't know if you can email me anything that you have any more that you're willing to share, but I'd like to see, whatever else that you have, because that sounds like a pretty good service.
Yeah, I wrote a 4 article series on it. I believe 3 of the 4 are on my Medium account, but it's like complexity science for the risk industry, peer-to-peer for the risk industry, blockchain for the risk industry, and then I think the last article is maybe not published on Medium. But I've got a few articles on Medium. They're all rather lengthy, so prepare yourself for a sit down if you're going to read one of them. The first couple aren't that sophisticated. They're more laying for the.
And those are on your Medium?
Yeah, just it's karma coverage at Medium.
Okay, I'll check that out.
Yeah, I've got some on that, and then there's.
But yeah, I'll definitely look into that, and I might contact you for maybe something more if you got it. But right now I'm getting ready to take off with and do some Christmas stuff. So, but yeah, that sounds very interesting. I think that's something that's very needed in this community.
Yeah, man, hit me up. I'm around. I've been doing these things pretty much daily, trying to help people learn and understand stuff. But yeah, if you're going to jump off, I'll probably wrap it up at 6 o'clock Saturday night. I'm gonna probably go out. So, yeah.
Thanks for all the information, man.